I'm Doreen Yu. I'm Associate Editor of the Philippine Star. I'm very happy in the place I'm in now as a CHiNOY, as a Pinoy. And I've lived long enough that if anybody challenges what I am or tries to belittle what I am, I know enough to fight back, and I know I will win. Because whatever prejudices they may have, I know I can counter. Whatever they decide to say about my being a Chinese, my being CHiNOY, neither here nor there, everything, all of that, I stand on solid ground, and I can answer any one of them. Be sure and catch Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, presented by CHiNOY TV.
Hi, I'm Janina Chan. I'm a TV host, I'm a podcaster, a columnist, and a content creator. Okay, so for our family, it's kind of like a mix of both traditional and modern, but in terms of upbringing, in terms of how we were raised, me and my sister, by our parents, I think it is similar to most families here in the Philippines. You know, we're both very family-oriented. I am a part of a very supportive family, so I'm also grateful that, especially my mom, she's always been supportive ever since I was a baby girl. Literally started young. And I'm so grateful for my family's encouragement and support in what I do. Being part of the One CHiNOY campaign is definitely such an honor and also a responsibility. I am so happy to be here, to be able to reflect as well on my identity, and I feel more realigned to myself by doing so too. It's definitely been fun, and I love knowing more about where I belong. I'm grateful for where I'm going. Onwards, together as One CHiNOY community. I'm inviting all of you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
Hello, I'm Nicole Cordovas, and I was Miss Chinatown 2014 and Binibining Pilipinas Grand International 2016. I think the biggest misconception is that we keep to ourselves, we're not so emotional, because growing up in a Chinese family, we don't really say, we don't state our feelings, we don't show our emotions, we're not touchy at all. And our parents don't even give us encouragement. Not that it's not entirely a bad thing, but more of they want us to stay humble. I'm really honored to be part of One CHiNOY because I feel like we need to tell our story more. We need to open up a conversation more, and I know that ang dami nating CHiNOY community members na naghahanap ng kausap, naghahanap ng mahuhugutan ng advice. So we need to be more present, we need to be more visible. And I'm inviting you guys to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
Hi, I'm Patriciango, and I'm a children's book writer here in the Philippines. Growing up, I didn't see a lot of representation of CHiNOYs, and I think that's why I wasn't really that sure about what it meant to be CHiNOY. And Eventually, when I reached college, I learned about how culture isn't a pure and static thing. Cultures keep changing just as people do, and the CHiNOY culture is just one way in which cultures kept changing. And I learned that there wasn't just one way of being Filipino. There were many ways to do so, and being CHiNOY was a valid way of being Filipino. I think that this campaign is really important in helping bridge the gap between whatever miscommunications we might have with other cultures and other people. There are times when people misunderstand what it means to be CHiNOY. They don't understand sometimes that the Philippines is still our home and that we are still Filipinos, even with our different experiences. And I appreciate that this campaign helps bridge that gap and to clarify those misconceptions that people have. I'm inviting you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
Hi, I'm Rob Jam. I'm a illustrator, comic book creator, art director, and friend. Well, I just wanted to make comics as a kid. I didn't know it could be a career. I think even if you are from a Filipino family, if you tell them you want to be an artist, they're kind of afraid of it. Because yeah, there is such a misconception of how you can make money in art. I know that the Filipino Chinese community or the Chinese community, it's so focused on what's sure to be a successful career path or a successful business or a successful whatever. And then art is such a thing outside of that. I feel very honored to be part of this because, yeah, I knew I was always a part of this community, but I've never really felt like recognition from it or that anyone in the Chinese-Filipino community or Filipino-Chinese community cared because, yeah, like there's that whole expectation that they don't know much about art or they see art as just, well, waste of time, that kind of thing. And I'm inviting you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
My name is Stacey. I'm a radio DJ, a podcaster, a voice talent, an events host, and a writer. All things that you're not expected to be when you're CHiNOY. I grew up in a traditional, stereotypical Chinese-Filipino household. So my dad is pure Chinese born in the Philippines. And my mom is literal na mestiza because my maternal grandmother was Bisaya. She came from Leyte. And yung maternal grandfather ko, who I never met, was an immigrant from China. So I really got it all in the sense na talagang Chinese-Filipino ako and I can't just be one without the other. I feel privileged to be part of the One CHiNOY campaign because I want to be the voice that starts these uncomfortable conversations, and it's high time that they happen because we have to look at who we are to understand where we come from. And that's a conversation that's long overdue. It's time to shock the system. And I'm inviting you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
Hi, my name is Tim Yap. I'm a host and eventologist. I'm proud to be CHiNOY because I know I come from a bloodline of hard work. I come from a place where tough love was the norm, where we always had to work hard to get to where we are. It was always one step at a time. Nothing was given to us on a silver platter. I love being part of this One CHiNOY campaign because it reminds us that we are one, right? That we are in a world that's becoming so tribal and into each other's, only into each other's. We need reminders that, hey, we are all one and the same. And I'm inviting you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
I'm Wilson Lee Flores. I'm in the real estate business. Also, my hobby is writing a column in Philippine Star. I also own a bakery in Quezon City. I have Chinese and I have Filipino culture. That's 100% Filipino, 100% Chinese. So I'm 200% of a person. I'm 200% richer as a person. It's not like, there's no need to balance. I have to continuously learn to be both. Every single culture that enriches us is important. We should always analyze ourselves in order to be better human beings. And our ethnic Chinese minority in the Philippines, non-stop changes. We are experiencing non-stop changes every generation. We should be better. We should always strive to be better. By cherishing our heritage and our values, learning from our ancestors in order to be a benefit to the Philippines. I'm inviting you to watch CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
The modern CHiNOY.
Where are you from? I said, I'm from the Philippines. But how come you speak Chinese? So there's always that ambiguity. Are you really Filipino or are you Chinese?
I've been asking questions all my life, like, am I Filipino enough or am I Chinese enough?
And then my uncle looks at me, you do TV? Hello, you're too singkit. So, meaning ba pag singkit, hindi ka pwede mag-TV?
At that time, it was at the height of the island dispute, and the CHiNOYs have been at the middle of the crossfire between the Chinese and the Filipinos. So because of that, we decided to address this because at that time, a lot of people are confused in terms of the loyalty of the CHiNOYs here.
Where does your nationalism or your patriotism lie? Does it lie with where your ancestors come from? Or does it lie with where you were born and raised?
So, our manliligals always ask na may Great Wall ba yung pamilya niyo?
Funnily enough, I have never really dated a lot of Chinese girls. They scare me.
I really would like to grow up like a normal child. I really would like to go to the mall, watch a movie. But had it not been for this training of my parents, I would not be where I am today.
We should not lose out our Asian heritage. Yun ang fear ko, yun ang worry ko is it's easy to lose out our Asianness by all these overwhelming Western cultural influences.
I want to be the voice that starts these uncomfortable conversations, and it's high time that they happen because we have to look at who we are to understand where we come from.
No matter how it is run, this is our country. It is our lupang hinirang. We are just in one country, we are in one boat. Do not say why me, just say why not me.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag One CHiNOY is brought to you by Doña Maria Premium Quality Rice, our Filipino farmers' hard work and dedication in every grain. BA Securities, your trading partner in Asia Pacific.
At one point, when I was also being assigned to be in the COVID wards of PGH, and I had to say no because I was already doing COVID ICU rotations in another hospital. Ang hirap mag-no sa PGH. You know, they need you. But I had to say no to that because I was also thinking of my daughter. And I was already seeing COVID patients from another hospital. Kung lahat sila pupuntahan ko for COVID, it increases really my risk of getting infected. It's hard when your calling conflicts with your calling at home. Not just for me, but many other colleagues when they had to choose between family and work. And that would really be the hardest decisions to do, no? When you take on jobs that require you to be in the COVID wards, but then you know you might be seeing your loved ones soon. So a lot of sacrifices had to be made, including not seeing my parents for a very long time until they were vaccinated. And then even then, whenever we'd see each other, we would be wearing masks. It wouldn't be long. I think it's the most difficult place to be in as a medical professional. Hi, I'm Dr. Ging Zamora, and I'm an internist and a rheumatologist in the Philippines. I am Chinese by blood, actually half Chinese, but Filipino by heart. My grandfather from the maternal side is an immigrant from China, and she married a pure Filipina, so that makes my mom half Chinese. And she married another half Chinese, and so I'm the product. It could have been a typical CHiNOY household, only that my parents separated when I was in first grade. Growing up, it was really quite difficult for me and my sister because we were, in fact, maybe the only family we knew of which was considered broken. I just realized that we did continue pursuing the path of a typical CHiNOY, which is somebody with traits including hard work, perseverance, and yung loyalty. In the household I grew up in, it was just my mom and me and my sister. And we had help, of course, from my mother's hometown, Isabela. So I remember that when they separated, our helpers were very kind and they joined us because we had to leave the house. And they really just wanted to be there for my mom while we were growing up. And because my mom really had to work day and night to give us enough food on the table for her to put us through school. Eventually, after many years, my stepdad or our stepfather came into the picture, and it made our family life so much more colorful. And then there were really many times where we had to fend for ourselves in the house. In fact, I remember when I was in 6th grade, I would be the one paying my tuition fee. She would hand me a blank check. And I realized now that she had so much trust in me. We could really see how hard she worked and how hard life was when we were younger. Number one, we really had to work hard and study well because otherwise it would be difficult to get scholarships for our tuition fees. No, kahit papano, it helped. Partial scholarship. And then whenever we would have awards from the school, like for example, would be honor students, the Chinese Association, the C Association would be giving us some money, incentives. My mom is a really strong person. She's also very kind and generous. Actually, sa kanya ko talaga nakita that you can be generous even without having so much. Parang I would see her helping everybody she could because she sold jewelry. Somebody bought jewelry from her but couldn't pay because that client needed to raise money for her daughter's tuition fee. And it ended up that my mom even gave her money for the tuition fee. Alam mo yun, we were really just getting by. But she was generous enough to give. So that's how really she inspired me. So growing up, I really just wanted to be able to help her earn. I never really dreamt of doing big things in life, you know. I just applied to different colleges, iba-ibang courses, and unfortunately, I was accepted into UST. It was a physical therapy course. It was trending that people would leave for the US. So I said, this is a really good course because after I finish, I could go abroad and earn dollars to give to my mom. Hindi ako natuloy doon. I joined the bandwagon of applying to med school. And unfortunately, I was accepted into UP, where tuition fee was very minimal compared to UST Med. I realized towards the end of college that I really didn't want to leave my family here. There's really nowhere else I'd rather be but here. Sa totoo lang, no, I don't think there was this light bulb moment when I felt that, yes, this is my calling, no, being a doctor. There were many instances wherein I felt that I have to do something more than just, prescribe them medicines and diagnose them. Kasi talaga in PGH, you see the poorest of the poor, the sickest of the sick. I realized that a lot of their ailments could have been prevented earlier on if they had the money to have those tests done earlier. A lot of our patients could have survived if there were enough funds to buy their antibiotics. Because even in PGH, not everything is 100% free. I realized that I really wanted to help more. So I guess that would be more of the realization. It's really not that my calling is a doctor, but really more of my calling is to extend myself more. Not just a physician who heals physical ailments, but also to help them find resources to help them get better. A patient had to sell yung kubo and their kalabaw only to be able to pay for the medicines. So, paano na yun? Pag labas niya ng hospital, wala na siyang uuwian. Wala na silang kalabaw. How would they earn to sustain the medications? After that, I really felt like we needed to do something more. So, I joined Sagip Buhay Medical Foundation. What we mainly did was to raise funds. And then these funds would go straight to the patient's medications, diagnostics. Kung ano yung hindi kayang ibigay ng PGH o hindi nila makuha from their own pockets, from their relatives' pockets, we tried to help. I felt how it is not to have a lot. I really had a soft spot for patients who don't have a lot as well. So in college, I joined Lingkod ER. So we would be waiting for patients brought to the UST hospital. And then kung kailangan nila ng money, we would be there to give, to pay for the whatever procedure they needed or medicines to be bought. We eventually partnered with establishments like Ayala and then local designers, and then started a series of fashion shows of doctors. So the beneficiaries, of course, were the patients. And then, of course, the patients are happy because clearly the money really just goes to them. So that's how I was able to marry my passions and my advocacies in life. A fellow CHiNOY told me na, you should start your own Facebook page and doon ka magturo ng mga rayuma because we need that. And sabi ko ayoko kasi nahihiya nga ako. I was shy. Until one day, I just woke up with a notification that said I had been made an admin of a page with my name on it. And so I thought, oh my God, pangalan ko yan. So naisip ko na, sige na nga ako na lang magpo-post. I made sure that it was in Tagalog because my target was really to teach Filipinos. Doing that, yung social media, teaching, was helping more people, so I just continued doing it. So eventually, nagkaroon na ng Instagram. Siyempre, nauso na yung mga TikTok. So siyempre, kailangan mong bumagay. Di ba sabi nga nila, you have to reach your audience.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag One CHiNOY is brought to you by Cardinal Santos Medical Center, PG Flex Linoleum, and Maruyama Tarpaulin. Evergreen Cereal, AgriPro, Premier Nutrition Incorporated, Global Diesel and GU Engineering, Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation, Ford Tractor Philippines, your long-term agriculture partner. Japan Parts Bearing Corporation, now open in Caloocan. Pinturado Sellado Protectado Sigurado, AquaGuard Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Share your special moments with us at Hilton Manila. MTN Aesthetic Supplies Incorporated. Wonderful Trading. Unity, your testing specialist. Bavin, the fast charging expert. Federation of Filipino Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Philippine Xinjiang General Association Incorporated. Grand Family Association of the Philippines Incorporated. Federation of Filipino Chinese Alumni Association Incorporated. Alejandro Ko. Jimmy C. Nung Family. Enrique Chua. Li Pue Chin. Chua Beng Teng. Hong Wen Bing. Albert Ko. Stephen Sia. Rosalina Yasay. Thomas Kua. Conchita Go. Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart.
So when the pandemic hit the country last year, it was a very scary time, especially for us doctors, because we were really there in the hospitals, and then we suddenly had to take on new roles. Our Viber threads were really buzzing. You know, there would be thousands of messages, and then there would be calls for volunteers. And I, being a young physician, I didn't have comorbids, I had to volunteer. We had to experience, you know, taking a bath like 5 to 10 times a day, just so we don't get infected. Kasi we didn't know really what we were dealing with. We just knew it was very infectious. It's really one of the most important decisions na I had to make, being a doctor and being a mom. So I had to devise a way that I will not be bringing home infections to her. It was a scary time. And that's when you saw really the medical community come together, make innovations, just for more people to survive. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of our colleagues. We hit an all-time low in terms of hope, emotions, and mental strength, no? When there was still a surge after many had already been vaccinated. OMG. Bakit, no? We were so hopeful that we were already being vaccinated, and then the Delta variant came. Siguro lang talaga, we have to understand the virus more, and we have to understand that being vaccinated does not mean we will never get infected anymore. As a medical doctor in this pandemic right now, I guess my message would be for us to stay strong, because we really have many more months to go through. This is not going to end soon. This may be the new normal, as the cliche goes. And I think it's time for us to realize the most important things in our lives. That would be good health, your loved ones, contentment. Maybe we can let go of the frivolous things that we were very occupied with prior to this pandemic. You know, the anger, the hatred that we may have for some people or for some concepts, maybe we can let go of that, because life is really short. I hope we use the rest of our lives in productive ways that can help impact the society and make it a better place for many other people to live in. Before the pandemic, my life would be work, work, work in between my family, no? But during the pandemic, I realized that I had to take things more slowly. Actually, I knew that before, but I couldn't enforce it because there were so many things required of me. People say I need to stop being a people pleaser. So my mentors would tell me that you have to say no to some requests. Ako naman kasi, nahihiya ako na hindi mag-yes, no? Nagpapatulong, yes. I'm a yes person and I had to stop that a bit because during the pandemic, you really realize the most important part of your life would be your health, your family. I'm able to relax more. I'm able to watch Netflix more. Before, talaga halos wala. So, I like my life better now, I would say, before the pandemic. Because at that time, I couldn't breathe. I really was just working in between my family commitments. What qualities I got from my mom? I think that would be generosity, being positive in outlook. You know, even if we were really in the roughest of times, she was really always just positive. And she would always say, life is beautiful, anak. And of course, kindness. Those are the three qualities I also make sure that my daughter is exposed to. I want her to grow up to be a kind person, a generous person, somebody who will not live for herself, and to be more interested than interesting. You know, being grateful, isa pa yun. For me, I've already mastered, I think, the art of being grateful. I would always lean towards thinking of what I'm grateful for rather than what I am lacking. That's why I think despite all the challenges I had gone through already, and there's already a lot, of course, hindi lang din halata, no? If you have a grateful heart kasi, parang you always see the brighter side of things. And it's been a habit of mine to say thank you to God for the littlest of things. Being grateful all the time makes me forget about my problems and my being pulled in all these directions. You know, I'm a mother, I work, I have patients with COVID, I have to do research, I teach in the UP College of Medicine. So I think having this grateful heart has helped me reach where I am now. Well, for me, the most important role is still being a mother to my daughter because she's still going to be my most important legacy, you know, in life. When I leave this earth, I think I would be most proud if she would grow up to be a person of integrity. I think yun yung pinakamalaki, even if I like to think that I heal patients, that my patients are getting better. I think the most challenging would still be parenting and making sure that your child grows up to be the person you want them to be and that they're happy and content.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag One CHiNOY is brought to you by Cardinal Santos Medical Center, Evergreen Cereal, AgriPro, Premier Nutrition Incorporated, Global Diesel and GU Engineering, Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation, Ford Tractor Philippines, your long-term agriculture partner, Pinturado Sellado Protectado Sigurado, AquaGuard Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Share your special moments with us at Hilton Manila. Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Philippine Xinjiang General Association Incorporated, Philippine Long Tong Hai Fraternity Incorporated and Philippine Long Tong Hai Chamber of Commerce Incorporated, President Raymond Uy, Philippine Xinjiang Longhu Association and Philippine Xinjiang Longhu Chamber of Commerce Incorporated, Philippine Chinese Commerce and Industry Overseas Association Incorporated, Philippine Xinlian Association, Overseas Chinese Alumni Association of the Philippines, Alejandro Co, Jimmy C, ng family. Chua Beng Teng, Hong Wen Bing, Albert Ko, Steven Sia, Rosalina Yasay, Jaime Lim, Victor Chua, Sherwin Choi, Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart.
Resilience is born out of hardship, always. The meaning of resilience is you are able to surmount obstacles, hardships, and generally, that's a good thing. Remember, the early Chinese migrants came over because of poverty. And it was a desire to find a better life. In a way, it's the same thing with the diaspora of the Pinoys ngayon, going overseas.
2 weeks after I got crowned, that there was a big typhoon. And I saw how great, how resilient the CHiNOY community was, because right then and there, they asked me if I can collaborate with them to open food drives and donation centers like in Marikina City, or with CHiNOY Cares as well. I realized that when I met these people, they weren't big organizations. They were core people that really wanted to help, and they were very resilient because even though they had their own personal problems with their family and with their community, they still strive to help in whatever way they can.
I hate the resiliency narrative. I think the resiliency narrative should be killed, given a funeral, and then just set ablaze, go off in a blaze of glory. Because when you harp on the resiliency narrative, you romanticize the idea of people going through struggle. And that means na okay lang that my quality of life sucks. And it's not. It's not okay. You can say na, sige, maghihirap ka ngayon, pero there are better days ahead. When you have a global pandemic running wild, how am I gonna make it to tomorrow? How do I know? Do I have a guarantee?
There is a negative side to resilience. The narrative that we all have to quickly get back up from our problems is also pretty toxic, I think. I realized this year during the pandemic that it's okay to not be okay. And there are times when being so focused on getting better will not make it better at all.
So what I said about the resiliency narrative being pretty problematic is it shields those who should be held accountable from the accountability, right? Whenever something bad happens, like the pandemic, for example, we look to our leaders. When you have a situation like this where we bank on the Filipino people's resiliency, ang hirap mag-demand ng accountability from those who should be accountable because resilient naman eh. Kaya nyo yan. Kayo nang bahala, right? So it's incredibly damaging because it also makes it feel like tayo-tayo lang yung pwedeng mag-angat sa mga sarili natin. And when I say tayo-tayo, it's just really the individual or the common person, whether you're CHiNOY or not. And it's very unfair.
They always say, this is not just then CHiNOYs. They generally say, Filipinos are so resilient. You throw anything at them and they'll survive. They will overcome. That becomes, I guess, a downside when government or the powers that be no longer set up the foundations so that resilience will not have to be called into play every time there is a typhoon, every time there is an earthquake, every time there is a pandemic. We meaning government, organizations, NGOs, you have to give them the means so that they will not have to always rely only on their resilience.
A modern CHiNOY would be somebody whose roots are still deep into the values of being CHiNOY, such as resilience, perseverance. But being modern in a way is somebody who is open to the world's innovations, somebody who transcends the stereotype of being CHiNOY. Somebody who's more open to labels or different scenarios that typically would not be thought of as bagay with CHiNOYs. My message to young CHiNOYs would be to stay true to yourself. You should not endeavor to fit into a typical mold because you are who you are, as long as you're not stepping on other people's toes and you are creating positive impact in the society or at least in your own home, then you should pursue that.
For more information about today's episode, visit www.chinoy.tv. And subscribe to our YouTube channel for full episodes of Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart.
Presenting the CHiNOY TV Podcast, your one-stop source to everything CHiNOY. On this podcast, we will dig deep and understand the Chinese-Filipino culture. We'll put a face to the deep-rooted meaning of being a CHiNOY, defined by their struggles, shared history, and successes. Follow CHiNOY TV Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast fix. This is the CHiNOY TV Podcast.
Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart. Hashtag One CHiNOY was brought to you by Doña Maria Premium Quality Rice, our Filipino farmers' hard work and dedication in every grain. BA Securities, your trading partner in Asia Pacific. CHiNOY TV would like to thank
I started selling fruit shakes at the age of 7. I did not earn a lot of money, but of course, it was a one-of-a-kind experience for me. It's always good to achieve a lot at an early age. Of course, I mean, everyone wants to be successful. But of course, there are a lot of things that you have to sacrifice. There are a lot of things that you have to give up on the way.